nicer, much less rainy.
All right,
Not a lot.
we are live streaming.
Okay, cool. So welcome, hello everybody, and welcome to the JS Core Dev Team Weekly Sync, October the 15th, 2018. It's really nice to see you all. Note taker is Jacob. He's already put his name down. That's fabulous. Cool. Put your name on the attendees list if you haven't already. And weekly updates. Shall we get going? So I might as well start. So last week was the Protocol Lab week, and it was awesome. I just put a couple of links to talks I gave there whilst there, in case you are interested. I today released JS IPFS APIs at version 25, and that has got a fix. The big thing in that release is a fix for large file uploads. It updates the stream HTTP dependency by a major version number. So I just wanted to play it extra safe and release a major version of IPFS API just in case it caused issues for people. So what else? I created the release issue for JS IPFS 0.33. The next release will have the new web UI stuff. Hooray! So that's going to be fun. I talked to Ollie this morning, and he's cool to get that in as soon as possible. So let's do that. It's going to be rad. I'm not currently blocked on anything. I am currently, or this week, I am hoping to finally complete my CID base work if other stuff doesn't get in the way. I've just been clearing out my inbox and pruning some issues and pull requests and things today. But that is about all from me. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. First of all, awesome work. Really happy that now JS IPFS API can stream really large files to IPFS daemons. Can you confirm that it works with both Go IPFS and JS IPFS, or just JS IPFS? Both. Ugo is saying both. That's excellent. There were a lot of users complaining about that. That's like after like 4 gigs or something, it was crashing. Can you make sure to follow up with them? Just give them a ping saying like, hey, like this is now fixed. Also, really exciting that is so JS IPFS getting the the new web UI. Nice. And is JS IPFS getting first the base 32 stuff? If you finish it this week, well, I guess it has still to get released.
Right. So I was just hoping to finish the PR at least, but it will need a review and all of that. So I wasn't planning to get it into this release, but
got it. Well, even if it happens a couple of weeks from now, it sounds like a reference implementation to me. Just perfect. All right, thank you so much. This is really great.
Cool. Any other questions? Okay, rad. Who's next? Jacob, would you like to give us your update?
Yeah, so it was lab week all last week. We made good progress with libp2p on our roadmap, so we're going to work on that a bit more and get that published soon. Some stuff came up, a couple questions on private networks, so I did that on the plane ride. There's now a private network example that I've got a pull request open to, and solicited a couple community members for feedback on that we're having a hard time with it. Also working on support for the elliptic curve keys. That's most of the way there. There's just some like minor interface issues with strings versus buffers for verification. So I'm fixing that, testing that against libp2p and JS IPFS. But once that gets released, we'll be able to specify key types in pure ID. So that should be done probably tomorrow or so. And then, yeah, for the testing on that, this week I'm going to work on finalizing the state machine work with libp2p so we can get O.24 released. And then I'll start work on the JS libp2p daemon for interop and testbed testing, as well as work on some design proposals for the testbed effort that we'll be working on this week for libp2p. Any questions for me?
I just have a request. Make sure to record a tiny video of like showing how we can use both keys, because that has been a long time requested feature, not only by Agoric, but like all of other users that want to use it. And so like a 2-minute video can go really a long way. Yeah. Given that we now have IPNS, have we built in the system that enables us to do multiple IPNS names without like tagging it on the peer ID key, or is it still like single IPNS name per node?
I do not know.
Okay, so I guess the answer is no. Alan?
Yeah, so I have a question on private networks. Sorry, I'm just frantically trying to look at the pull request. That's just adding an example of it already working. Is that?
Yeah, so the example shows how to run 2 nodes that have the same swarm key, and then there's like a task in there where you can go in and comment out one of the swarm keys and change it so that the nodes are running different swarm keys and watch them fail to connect. So this example is how to do that running JS IPFS without we've got a change request open in IPFS repo that we haven't really touched. That's actually like adding the ability to auto detect and pull that for JS IPFS. But we technically don't need any of those changes. It just works right now.
Cool. Cool. And so I know someone opened an issue on that. Did you presumably responded to it and told them this example now exists and they can look at it?
Yeah, so that just came up. There was an issue about a month ago where somebody was looking for the example, and then it came up I think it was early Saturday or something, where somebody was having issues getting it running on how, and then this addresses that in the PNet. I don't know if there's a JS IPFS issue. I haven't seen one for that, but I can take a quick look and then link over that example.
Cool. Okay. That's all from me. Okay, next person to go is Volker.
So I was also at the lab week, and I would say that GraphSync finally has a design, so the spec needs to be written, which will be my task, which will also be the task of the next week, starting with it. Then, yeah, before the lab week, I started my Phospho-G talk. I just need to upload it. Just to cut out the first part where I start the recording. Yeah, and then I had also a conversation with Ellen today about, so Dark Zebra is changing APIs and is a way bigger change than I thought. How we deal with CIDs and links, and just need to make sure that, so currently nothing is really broken, but once you upgrade to a new version of IPLD, your things might break and it basically surface up in IPFS. So even if IPFS upgrades, then also projects that are using IPFS and use DAX-CBOR might break. So I will make sure to look at the most prominent things like the Web UI or the Explorer to just make sure that they get the fixes in before we upgrade IPLD in IPFS. Yes. So that's more of a management task rather than a complicated technical one. Yeah, that's all.
Cool. Any questions for Volker? Okay, if not, then we are down to Hugo. Would you like to share your update with us?
Sure. So I was in Live Week, as everyone else. During that time, I did some minor pull requests to Azure about the experimental build and a couple of minor other things I don't really remember. But okay, so for the next week, I'll finally finish the Shankhads review that Alan gave me. And also I will start making bundles smaller. In the meantime, I'll continue the big data tests, as these take a long time. I have, in between, I have time to do other stuff like making the experimental build default and the bundles smaller. I also would like to show you guys something. If I can do it now, I don't know.
Yeah, we've got time.
Okay, so. Okay. So for the bundles, one of the things that I'll be using to show up like progress and stuff would be this tool, Bundlephobia. As you can see here, you can track the size over time. As we improve the size of each of our packages, we can use this tool to keep track of the progress. And also I'll use another tool called size limits that will be configured in each repo that will give the developers or the maintainers feedback about the size. I still don't know if it will be like a pre-push hook or maybe something on the CI. We'll figure that out on an issue probably with everyone's opinion. And also during Live Week, we had a lot of talks about the CI and how can we improve it. And I've been working with Michael Burns from the Infra team to make a proof of concept using the GitLab CI. So to see if you guys and everyone else can take advantage of it. I'm still waiting for some of the machines to like make a complete pipeline with Windows and Mac OS and stuff like that. Right now, I just did a simple setup with the normal checks like linting, also dependency checking that basically tells us if any of the packages we use is not on package.json, stuff like that, and basically running tests on Node 8, Node 10, and the browser. I'm still finishing up the Firefox version of this last one, as you can see it. And so basically this is what it looks like on GitLab CI. This is basically the list of all the runs. You get a nice view of the pipeline. You can retry each of the steps, not only the complete stage, but each of the steps. You can also do whatever we want. Basically, we can, as we configure that pipeline with this file, we can do stuff like checking out, like cloning and checking out other repos, running the tests like with a link. This is especially important for the IPFS, so we can like test if we don't break other packages or other repos when we do some kind of change. We can do also schedule pipelines that would be useful for my big data tests to run it like weekly or daily or whatever. So it's pretty configurable and it works pretty well. This is connected to the GitHub repos directly. They basically set up hooks, and when everything gets pushed, they run the pipeline on GitLab. So it basically works like this, and I will finish up the pipeline to more or less mimic what we have on Jenkins, and then we can talk about it on an issue or something. So that's it. I just wanted to show you this, making you aware of this little proof of concept. If anyone has any questions, please.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First question: the experimental build. Can you, for people who are maybe watching who don't know what that might be, can you explain what that is and why it exists?
Basically, the experimental version, what it does, it's the setup is a little bit simpler. The it updates Babel and Webpack with new configs for each to make the bundle smaller, to make the transpilation a little bit better, not by much, but just a little bit. And it's basically it.
Okay. Yeah, sure, David, go for it.
I have 2 questions. So the first one on the bundle size is pretty cool. It would be great if it doesn't require us to go to that service every time. It would be great like if there is a CI hook that actually tells us on every pull request what is the change. Doesn't have necessarily to make the pull request fail if the bundle increases. It's just like something that we can keep track on, that keeps reminding us. On the GitLab CI, super interesting. Like I've been like a long time fan of GitLab and how they set up stuff. It is still very like blurry, like very foggy to me. How the IPFS work feels about using GitHub. Sorry, give me just.
You've gone mute.
Yeah, sorry, I was just asking everyone to give me a little bit of this. And so, yeah, GitLab CI. I'd love to see if there is issues open about like that plan, and like just like to get everyone's feelings about it, everyone's perspective, more than feelings, everyone's perspective. But yeah, like thank you for like just coming up with that and developing a proof of concept. Right now, I don't have any technical observations other than, well, nice, looks cool. So, Alan.
Yeah, just kind of 2 things quickly. The web UI is using a service that does do a Git hook for bundle size, and it keeps it to a particular level. And if you go over that, then it will kind of flag it up. So we could use that. And then secondly, a question for Hugo. With the GitLab stuff, would we also have to move all our code to GitLab, or can we run it like as a separate CI service?
So the demo I just did, I didn't put any code on GitLab. It's all connected to IPFS TCTL in a specific branch that I'm using to test out all this stuff. So the workflow will continue to be exactly the same, with one exception. Instead of going to Jenkins page, we'll go to the GitLab CI page, nothing more.
Can we set up a fork of JS IPFS and run that on GitLab and see how it works?
Yes, we'll finish up the pipeline. Hopefully, Michael can get me the other machines, so we can build like a complete pipeline with everything, and then I'll.
Is he gone for everyone else?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh no.
We'll never know. Got him.
Are you back? I see you moving.
Back.
Can you hear me now? I guess I dropped my connection. So basically, I'll just finish the pipeline and then just copy the configuration to a branch on IPFS and do a pull request.
I'd love to see that. I think that would be rad. Cool. Any other questions for Hugo? Awesome. David, did you want to say anything else or have any other comments or questions?
Well, I guess my update is very light. Last week was lab week with IPFS days. We need to basically compile all of the notes from all of the Unconf sessions and publish them publicly. Right now, my really big focus, and like as you might have seen, there's a new project level working group that got proposed and merged, and so there is now a team responsible for creating the artifacts that we need to have cross-team communication, direction setting, and also to help the working group set up their path. And so right now, we are in the stage of just unpacking the vision of IPFS and like give some tangential, like some reality but milestones, like something that we can like understand what we need to do in order to reach what is the vision. And so me and Molly are working heavily on that document. Our hopes is to have a version by the end of this week that we can send to you all for you to pull request against. And so like it's more you reading through the doc, see if you make sense to like every single working group, and then iterate on it asynchronously until we feel it is ready for us to commit to the 2019 priorities. And once we are ready to commit to 2019 priorities, it's when we will welcome all the working groups to kind of like define their roadmap for 2019 and kind of like communicate to the org like what is possible, what is not possible, what we as a big team can do to help each working group team to of course like try to achieve more and try to hit all of our goals. All of these artifacts will be public for the entire IPFS community. We are just like getting the first versions over Google Doc because the experience of like editing there is just like faster. But like once we feel that it's ready to share, we will just like do a pull request on a repo called roadmap and welcome everyone in. And so yeah, that is like my core focus right now. My secondary focus is I'm spending some time with the Go team, and so they are now also figuring out their own priorities for the quarter. There is a lot of pressing issues, but the gist is given that like as any other team, like we still haven't structured or settled on what are the IPFS project level priorities. What we are doing is okay, independently of like what are the priorities for 2019, there is just like working on a baseline that is needed to support all of those visionary goals that we learn about. And so we are using things like data sets that we have been transferring or trying to transfer for a while over IPFS, like NPM on IPFS, the ImageNet data set, etc., to like kind of like dictate a little bit of like the performance improvements that we need to get ready. And then also like there is a big conversation and this is something that like we also need to have a conversation about, is how to make sure that the maturity and the stability of the project gets proven by benchmarks and testing. And so like when we say we can transfer a 1 terabyte file, it should not just be like someone tried on their machine one time. It should be something that is repeatable and something that will give confidence to all of our users that the machine is ready. And also like even like a byproduct of that is when you create those testing harnesses and benchmarks, you suddenly open the door to all of the networking, peer-to-peer performance experts to have a playground for them to like test their ideas and test their expertise and really like take part on the project. Right now, it's just hard for people that are experienced on like markets to come to BitSwap and like help us like figure out what is the best strategy for BitSwap or for DHT or etc. And so getting a bunch of benchmark, and I know that this team is working on the interplanetary testbed, so that's going to be great. Getting those things finalized this quarter will be like will yield a ton of returns for next year, because then we can open the playground for everyone else. So and like a part of this conversation is also like leveling up the Go team to have better coordination in a way that it is inclusive of other teams. So that IPFS cluster can like communicate needs, that the JS team can like understand what's going on and like is notified in advance when there is a proposal for change, or it is even part of the design of Unix FSv2 and so on. And so yeah, like I'll report back when the week is over.
Yeah, I mean the Go IPFS team kind of communication is already so much better. Like I already get like pings from Stephen when he feels there's something that I should know about on like Go IPFS issues, and that's just like, even if it's just ping me, then that is just a big step in the right direction. So I'm super happy with that. So yeah, I'm seeing all this good stuff kind of start to pay off at least. So rad. Very excited. And yeah, like I totally agree on the benchmark stuff, and having that, just like that bundle phobia thing where you can have like this version was this slow playground where you can kind of see what differences you're actually making each version would be, yeah, super useful. So yeah, totally aligned on that, and absolutely hoping to make progress on that front this quarter. Well, we're totally on time, so we should get off this call. Does anyone have any final thoughts, or can we just go? All right, thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you again next week for another exciting edition of JS IPFS Core Devs Meetup, and talk about JS IPFS and other related technologies. Goodbye. Bye.